In this video, you will see 7 end games happen frequently, and if you don't have knowledge about them, they are not easy to handle and not easy to play. This is the first one. It's called the queen pawn majority, and by the way, everything mentioned in this video is on a study on leeches, so you can check it out later on if you would like to. The link will be in the description. So this is the first one. Here, white has an extra pawn, and the logical way to play is to push your passer, but if you do that, then you might run out of moves and you might lose the chance to win. For example, if b4, king f8, a4, king e7, b5, king d7, a5, king c7, and now you're stuck. Maybe even king d6 might be something even better, like, right, in order to play something like king to c5, and maybe now black is winning, you know, because you misplayed it, or at least you have to go b6 and then you go out with a draw. So the priority here is not to push the extra pawn. The priority here is to centralize the king first. So the king will be centralized first, then I will push my queen side pawns to the extent that I can, and then I will push my king side pawns to the extent I can. After that, I will sacrifice my queen side extra pawn, and then we'll go with my king to the king side pawns and win the game. Let's see it in action. We start centralize our king. King f1, king e2, king d3, king d4. The king is already centralized, cannot be centralized further. So after king d4, for example, black is just waiting. Now I push my queen side pawns. b4 and a4, great. King c6. Third step, I push my king side pawns, f4 to the extent I can. So h4, h5, g4. No need to calculate h6, no need to calculate g5. Probably g5 is winning, but no need to calculate. King d6, and now you go b5. Now and only now. After b5 takes. The king has to go back. I go king d5, and then after king e6, I will win by the king side, not by the side that I have the extra pawn with. Guys, this information is super important, because when you are reaching this position, either you're playing a blitz game or even in classical game, most likely you don't have time to think in this big picture, yeah? You're only focusing on moves, and probably there is that saying like, passed pawn must be pushed, and you push your pawns and all of a sudden you realize that you are not on time and you drew the winning game, or maybe you lose it, yeah? Because you're missing this very important, simple information. Position number 2. This is fascinating one. Same colored bishop in games. Many of us would consider it a draw. Like, how can white win? Like, whenever you get a queen, I will take it, and one bishop can do nothing. But actually, this is winning for white. Why this is winning for white? Because of the following. If we manage to put our bishop on b8, then we're winning. But we cannot do bishop b6, bishop a7, because the king is controlling the square, yeah? So first we go bishop h4. But black is smart. Will not allow that easy, and we'll go king b6. And again we go bishop f2 check, threatening bishop a7, bishop b8. But black will say king a6. You are not allowed to do that. No problem. I go bishop c5, and after bishop g3, bishop b7, and now the threat is bishop d8, bishop c7, and we'll promote. So black said again, but wait a second, I am smart enough. I will stop this plan. But now is the trick. What we have done in the previous 5 moves, we just provoked bishop g3. Like, this is the starting position, and here we go. After king c6, it's the same, but only the bishop g3. So now in this position, I want to go bishop g5, bishop e3, or I want to transform my bishop to this diagonal, but I don't want to allow king b6, king a6. How can I do that? Using this idea, bishop h4. 2 exclamation mark. And now after bishop h4, you cannot take I will have a queen. So you need to move your bishop away, say bishop to h2, but now I have time to do that. Like bishop here, and now bishop here. And now I am going to queen. But you might say, wait, I can go from the other corner, like bishop a7. But now you don't have too many squares. Previously, you do have all this diagonal, but now you don't have squares. Simply, bishop e3 is winning. This is super important. Guys, more than 80% of the viewers of this channel is not subscribed or is not subscriber. So if you find this useful, consider subscribing, because we do have lots of content similar and maybe much more useful than this. Number 3, Lucina endgame. This is actually super important. This is probably the most famous one in our study, yeah? Let's reach the position. The position started by here. So after rook h1, black will go, or white will go g6. You have an extra pawn as white and you wanted to win. But black say, okay, I'm not allowing this king to leave. Like, my rook will control these 3 squares. The king will control these 3 squares, and this king is stuck. So king g8, rook h1, I'm just waiting, g7. Good luck. Rook h3. And now in this position, if you try to win without knowing this knowledge, it's very tough actually. And most likely, if you don't have time, you will not get the right idea over the board or during the game. So here, for example, if you go rook e2 check, king d7, and now how can you win? If king f7, because you said, okay, now I can go king f7. No, you cannot. Or you can, but it's not winning. Rook f3. King g6 check, another check, king g5 check. And now, if the king is not protecting the pawn, then you lose it. And if you go to f6, then rook f3 check. And if you go to h6, then rook h3 check. Then how can I win this? I am a pawn up. I am about to promote, but I cannot win. Because you miss this simple move, which called the Lucina idea and the Lucina rule, rook f4. Why this is super important? Remember the 4th rank. So after rook h1, we go rook e4 first, cutting off this king. By the way, if king f6, king f8 is simply winning, because now you cannot stop the queening. So we go king d7. And after king f7, now we go king f7, because after this check, this check, this check, king g5, now there's no more check, because I do have rook g4. Super important. That's called Lucina rook endgames. One more idea in the rook endings, and it's in this position. In this position, you have an extra pawn, and a should be winning, yeah. But you need to understand the bigger idea, which is you cannot win using this pawn, or you cannot win by using this pawn. You need to win by sacrificing this pawn and win by the king side pawns, or by attacking the king side pawns. First of all, we protect from the back rook a4. Then we bring our king, so we provoke this king to come to the queen side, making these guys alone so we can attack them after. So here in this position, if we continue like king b3, then king b5, then how can we proceed? But now, very nice idea, very nice waiting move, rook a2. And the point is, if the rook moved, then we push the pawn. So at the end of the day, either you push your pawns or not, because if, for example, if you go f4, I can go f5 or h4, and then these guys are fixed. So you need, and you have to play king b5. So king b5 right away, and now I'm not trying to do anything with that pawn. I will sacrifice it, as I said, in order to attack the king side pawns. So king d4 check, simply king e5 check, king f4, and now, okay, you block with the king, great, but I have 2 attackers to the pawns, but you only have 1 defender. King g5, rook e5, and now king h6. After king h6, rook f5, trying to protect, but f4, in vain. Rook d5, king g7, attacking on f7, defending king f6. And now simple idea. Rook e7. Okay, f5 is there. Also you could go there, but f5. Taking, and now 2 weaknesses. Rook f2, rook f5 check, this pawn is taken and this pawn is taken, and always, it's always, whenever you have 2 connected passers, you're winning, yeah? Clear? Clear. Now, 3 more positions related to queen versus pawn. Position number 1. Here we go. It's easy, I know, it's simple, but I have to mention that. So the way to win is by using the king. I see many players keep checking, check. No, you cannot win. You cannot win by checking unless you are a chicken. Ha ha ha. It's a bad one. I see. No problem. Forget it. Queen c4 check. King b2, threatening the pawn, forcing king c1, and now queen c3, forcing the king to block the pawn. So there will be no promotion threat. And now I bring my king nearer. You go king e2, threatening the promotion, give you a couple of checks. Check, threatening, check. This is the ideal way. But it's not the only way. Like, you can do it too many ways, yeah? But this is actually the final position that you have to reach. King d1, and now what? Improve the king, exactly. King c2, check, and king e3, and next take and checkmate, yeah? Or depends where the king can go. Easy, yeah? Easy. Great. Next one. Actually, this is not a position. So this is not position number 6. This is actually an idea that I wanted to mention. This is a draw. Most of us know, yeah? Because it's a bishop's up, bishop's pawn, and there will be some stalemating threats. For example, here, whenever you try to do the same idea, it doesn't work because black has this trick, king a1. And if you take the pawn, it's just a stalemate, and it's just a draw. And the same result for this pawn. It's also a draw. Queen a3, king b1, check, and king a1. Either you move your queen away, because you don't have time to bring the king nearer, yeah? Either you move the king away or the queen away, or it's just a stalemate. But, do not accept the draw offer in every single case, because there is a case to win this. Are you sure? Yeah? Let me show you. Here we go. For example, if our king can reach near the pawn, the third rank, we have a big chance to win. It's not always, but it's a nice try. It's a nice knowledge to obtain. Here, in this position, white is winning. Many ways, actually, to win. Maybe this check is winning, probably. But my idea that I wanted to show you, say, for example, the queen is on b5 or on c4 or whatever. Queen e2. But wait a second. Now, simply king b1. And I'm threatening to have a queen, and you have nothing to do. Who said that I will prevent you queening? I will allow you queening. I'll go king here. Game. Wow. So after king c4, now if you queen with check, I go king b3. And this is winning for white. First time I knew this, I was kind of amazed by that. Because, is that serious? And I kept trying to give checks to that king and try to reject this information, but it's real, it's truth. Now you cannot avoid the checkmate from here or wherever you move your queen. Yeah? So the same actually applies to the a pawn. Again, for example, queen, king c4. What? You allow me queen and you'll win it? Yes. Because whenever you queen, I do have this check, king b2, this check, and now, if you go here, you're mate in 2, yeah? Checkmate. Clear. So you have to go king b1, and again, king b3 is winning. What an idea. And now you cannot avoid this checkmate, or this checkmate, or this checkmate, or this checkmate, if you moved your queen away. So this is position number 7. Want to consider more and more useful videos you have in your left? Don't forget to subscribe, like, and see you in another one.